retail suddenly became smart money. 2025 sell-off, that February, March, and April that we sold off around the tariffs, my analysis showed that this was retail buying and institutions selling. It's not the other way around, which you would have thought, oh, these young people, they don't know enough to buy the dip. It turned out it was the other way around. When the market turned, if you'll remember, all those institutions were playing catch-up for the rest of the year. They were underinvested.
Introducing Peter Tuchman, known as the Einstein of Wall Street, the most photographed trader on the planet with an edge that has survived every crash and rally since 1985. In this episode, Peter reveals the truth on what market makers actually do, why retail traders are surprisingly becoming smart money that institutions have to react towards, and the insider games and edges he's learned from being on the trading floor every single day watching institutional order flow.
People who trade and lose money love to blame somebody for that, and they rarely will accept the loss as their own loss. It's the big whales, it's the institutions, it's the market maker. Everybody's out to get them. A market maker's job, by definition, is, I've lived through more crashes than anybody alive today who's trading the stock market. The only thing that is similar about all the crashes is that the day before they happened, the market was trading at record highs. It wasn't like the market started to erode and then there was a crash. Each time, you go back to February 12th over COVID, February 19th over the tariffs, everything looked rosy and beautiful. Everyone's portfolios were robust and wonderful. The consumer was in great financial condition until it wasn't.
Right now, we're in a similar situation. The only difference is bad things have happened, but the market's been resilient. I wonder what the next bad thing is going to happen to test the market. And I'm curious to know, when you have multi-trillion dollar back-to-back IPOs with SpaceX and the AI companies, what kind of ramifications that could have on the near future on the markets.
So let's think about this for a minute. So
ladies and gents, welcome back to another episode. Peter, good to have you back, my friend.
I'm so thrilled to see you.
Man, it's been years, I think, well, the years that we've had a friendship. We've been in Dubai, we've been in the New York Stock Exchange, we've had dinners together, we've conquered and triumphed, and you give me a private tour around the exchange. It's been a lot of fun. So great to have you back on set.
Pleasure,
I think the combined views of the things we've done together is in the hundreds of thousands, and you gave us the most unique opportunity, which is to film inside the New York Stock Exchange. Always ever grateful, because that's something magical.
Yes.
But yeah, for people that may be tuning in for the first time, because we've grown as a show too, who is Peter Tuchman, the outside of Wall Street?
So Peter Tuchman is a New Yorker who has been working on the floor of the exchange for 41 years. I had sort of an extraordinary upbringing before that, but I came to the stock exchange on March 28th, 1985. Turns out it was the day that Ronald Reagan rang the opening bell and gave a speech. We actually just got a copy of the speech recently. I did not even know that was that day. And I got a summer job as a teletypist. I had been working in Africa, in West Africa, for a year and a half doing some accounting for a Norwegian oil company. And I was 25, and my parents said, you know, it's time to get a real job. Put on your big boy pants and let's get busy. And I had an older brother who my father had adopted during the war when he was in a concentration camp, who's always been my mentor. He's much older. He just passed away. He was 95 years old. He's, you know, decades older than I. But he was a big Wall Street guy, and he always said that Wall Street was going to be a place for me. And so I ended up coming back from Africa. My father had a friend who was a partner in a brokerage firm, Cowan and Company, which later was bought out by Societe Generale. And they got me down to the floor, and I knew the minute I walked on the floor that this was for me. It was sort of chaotic. I sort of thrive. Everybody has their different, you know, secret sauce. I love the sort of the chaos, the adrenaline, the energy, and that's what the floor in the 80s was. 7,000 people screaming and yelling, you know, open outcry, real auction market, paper, all paper. I still don't even own a computer, so I'm sort of a resistant to any technology. I do have this, right, but clearly, so anyway, summer job as a teletypist. Teletypist was, so back in the day, orders were generated upstairs, sent down through a clerk. The clerk would beep a broker would go out to a crowd. He would engage with other traders or the market maker. He would buy the stock based on instructions. The order would come back to the booth, reported to the customer. Then a piece of paper was handed to me. I was inputting it into a computer because in the old days, it took 7 days for the transaction to be cleared, right? It was called T+7, right? So the money has to be transacted eventually, right? So the bank contacts the bank, the customer contact. That's the old school. Now it's done in hyper seconds. But so I would input it in, you know, who bought, who sold, the price, the time, what broker, what badge number, all. It's kind of like the original blockchain, because there needed to be a ledger of every single trade to be able to go back 7 days later and make that transaction happen where the money was transacted. So I would input it into a computer. September came and I knew I loved what I was doing, and I said, may I get a real job here, right? Summer internship is over. They said, Pete, we love you. You know, you've got the energy, you've got the look, it's all great. So they gave me a job as a option clerk. Now, back in the old days, these trading desks used to have retail, institutional, and options. Basically, the firms upstairs were doing option trading, and they needed to hedge the options, so they would do some equities against it, right? Buy 500 Johnson & Johnson, cancel 2, leave 3, sell 500, all day long, and it sort of really cut my teeth on the floor. And then I moved my way up. Back in the old days, there was no training to be a broker. Everybody's dream was to be a broker. You know, in the early part of the century, they issued 1,300 somewhat seats on the stock exchange, the right to trade. And so they never added to it, never subtracted to it. So basically, somebody needed to die, to quit, to be fired in order for you to move up the ranks. And it took about 13 to 15 years to happen. I did it in 3.5. I was lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. I was good at what I did. And one guy quit, one guy retired, one guy died. And I got my first seat on April 17th, 1988, after the crash of 87. And so I've been a broker ever since. My job has changed a lot. Obviously, it's been something I've always loved every day. I've had, great times. I've had bad times. I've had times during the financial crisis where 3 years where I didn't make any money. I was sort of really struggling. I didn't tell anybody about it. I had a wife. I had children. So there have been great times on Wall Street. There have been struggles on Wall Street. My life has had good times and hard times. And over the last number of years, I've pivoted a little bit to social media when technology sort of took over a lot of our industry, as it did many industries. And so, Peter Tuchman has morphed into a social media influencer and celebrity in a way. I mean, the change from my October life, which was a solid social media influencer, to now being literally, I can barely walk down the street anymore, which is wonderful. These are luxury problems. My demographic is from 8 to 80. I had a show on CNN now for the last year. And so, I'm building a media mega business. I'm traveling around the world. I do a lot of speaking. I have educational platforms. I'm working with a lot of big companies like Robinhood and State Street and some of the bigger firms.
Yeah, you're a busy man, full of life and always pushing, which is something I noticed since I met you years ago. You went from stage talking, had a long presentation, mingling, and then we got you in a van, got you to a studio.